and it's to Bob Marley. I would like to see a future one to Gerald Gardner as well. Now, Gerald kept coming down to Highcliffe. He had headed notepaper which had Southridge, Highcliffe, Hampshire. Just those 3 words. So it sounded like a very impressive country house, much bigger than it actually was. And he used that headed notepaper, but crossed it out, put his current address for several years. He probably had this stock of printed headed notepaper, didn't use it up. But anyway, from about 1945 he was down there. But he came back to Highcliffe quite a lot to see his friend Edith. On one occasion we know that they went on holiday together to Gibraltar, and she went under the name of Mrs. E. Gardner, so whether there was anything unusual going on, I don't know. It couldn't be. His wife didn't seem to bother much about that. Anyway, one of the significant things is that in 1952 there was an article in the magazine Illustrated about witchcraft in Britain, and it mentioned Gerald and the New Forest and the ritual against the invasion. And I'm not sure about drinking this in the middle of the sentence or not. Anyway, and this was read by a lady called Doreen Valiente, who I'm sure you've heard of. And she arranged to go and see Gerald while he was staying with his friend Edith. And they met, and several months later, midsummer 1953, he initiated her in Edith's house. So again, that's the connection with Highcliffe. He didn't tend to go there very much afterwards. I think he tended to, this was the time when he had opened a museum in the Isle of Man, and he was living over there during the summer months. In the winter months, he used to winter abroad. He again, probably because of his asthma. Anyway, he was liked to do that. And in fact, in 1964, he was on one of these trips abroad when he died on board a ship in Tunis Harbour, and he was buried there. And for many years there was nothing to mark his grave, but in fact a member of the craft has taken it on himself, with the help of Patricia Crowther, to mark the grave, and that is now marked, and there's some wording on there. So anyone going to Tunis, then do have a look at Gerald's grave. I can give details, or in fact there are details in my book, which is available for sale. Anyway, so just to finish with, up to 1939, Gerald had the life of any other colonial recently retired. After that, the last 25 years of his life, he saw him desperately trying to keep what he called the witch cult alive. In this, he succeeded. I suggest, beyond his wildest dreams, incidentally setting in motion what Professor Ronald Hutton has described as the only religion that England has ever given the world, resulting 50 years after his death in the plaque that was unveiled earlier today. Thank you. Minutes for questions or comments or whatever, if anyone wants to make any comments. Yes, actually.
Philip, when Gerald initiated Doreen, you said he was staying with Edith.
Yes.
That was when he'd come back here having sold Southridge, right?
I'm a bit deaf, so I didn't hear the end of that.
Why was he staying with Edith? He'd sold Southridge by then, had he?
Oh yes, yes. This was 1952 that he met Doreen, and 1953 when he initiated her. He had sold southwards by probably in 1945. There are records of other people living there. He might have rented it out for a while, but certainly in the long term he certainly sold it. Right. Nobody else? Well, that's fine. I don't mind.
Well, I've got a list here.
Oh.
I was going to say, Gardner was more involved with naturalists came in. Did he get any influences from people like Crowley? Anybody like that?
There's a whole chapter about Crowley in my book about his relationship with Gerald Gardner. He met him a few times. Each of them wanted something from the other, and in the end, that failed. And so it was,
They went their separate ways.
Indeed, yeah. So there we are. Oh, it's going that way. That's fine. Told me to stop. Which I suppose we probably better stop now because it is just about 8 o'clock. But anyway, yes, do buy some of my books if you want.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, just wanted to say one last time, I wanted to say thank you to Philip for a wonderful talk, which could have gone on in greater depth in every aspect. Also to Dan the Barman for some lovely entertainment in a beautiful venue, and that's been arranged by our friends from the Children of Artemis. So I would also like to thank them, and I'd like to thank you all once again for making today really special and historic, and I thought that was a really lovely end in a lovely place. So thank you all for today. Thank you.
And it doesn't end here. We can't announce what we're doing next. For the fact we haven't got anything arranged. No, at the moment we're concentrating on getting this museum open. If people haven't heard, we've got a building. All that we don't have now is the money. So we're halfway through our lottery bid, and that's going to establish the museum. So we actually, everybody, well, we kept it a secret for as long as we could, but the museum we were always hoping was going to open in Brighton. And Brighton are very keen for us to open there, but they were never able to give us a building. And the head of tourism, who's championed us for several years, is leaving. Well, he's left now, but we just couldn't see that the person that would come in and take his place would want to take up and champion a cause that wasn't his. So before he left, he passed us over to the people in Lewes. So we now have a building which we have. We've drawn the plans, we've got the planning permission, etc., etc. So it's a perfect building, and it's a historic building. It's listed. It's right in the centre of Brighton. It's right in the centre of Lewes, but it will be open in Lewes, and hopefully in the not too distant future. So all our efforts are going there. But I think that what we have done today is a little bit becoming part of the establishment. You know, this is the second blue plaque, and I think that gives us, as I was saying earlier, a little bit of level pegging. So, you know, we have had some historic people, we have had some influential people that have gone through what we've all been through, and so there will be other blue plaques for sure. And we definitely couldn't do it without you. So thank you very much for all your support. And we'll be back with another one very soon. So thank you guys. Thank you.